This presentation will cover completion of the 2020-21 Provider Profile. You must have an updated and approved profile in order to obtain a 2020-21 contract for school readiness or VPK. If you have not already completed this step, please do so soon. In these slides, we'll be reviewing the provider profile process, how to obtain help, and we'll cover the process to complete the update. Child Care Resource and Referral is the bridge between parents, providers, community leaders, and policymakers about anything related to child care in your county. The CCR&R program is part of a statewide network funded by the Florida's Office of Early Learning. In partnership with the Early Learning Coalition, CCR&R provides free resource and referral services to all families seeking information on quality, early care, and education programs. Resource and referral services are a front door to all child care, early learning programs, and community resources available to families in the area. Child Care Resource and Referral helps parents find quality child care and connects them with other community resources such as food, medical care, workforce support, housing assistance, financial assistance options, and more. So you may be asking, why should I need to complete a provider profile? Let's look at the benefits you receive. It's a great free marketing tool for child care providers. CCR&R is usually the first contact parents have with their search for child care. Child care business owners have the opportunity to be listed in a statewide database of more than 9,000 providers for potential referrals. CCR&R collects information about the supply and demand of child care, provides information about current rates that providers in a community charge, and links providers with training opportunities and other resources. Annually, the Child Care Resource and Referral team has more than 19,000 contacts with about 10,000 parents. However, it's important to note that CCR&R does not license, endorse, or recommend any individual child care provider, program, or organization. Parents and caregivers are given information about choosing quality child care and licensing regulations. It is the responsibility of the individual family to select a child care program that best fits the needs of their family. In addition to parents, CCR&R gathers data to help make legislative decisions and set the state market rate. The information you supply about your private pay rates helps determine the county's market rate, and that information serves as the foundation for setting the coalition's maximum reimbursement rate. Also, by being in the database, you'll be informed of community opportunities for professional development. As you get started on updating your provider profile, it's important to ensure that you have the information corresponding to the current version of EFSM. You can check this by logging into the provider portal. On the top right side of the screen, next to your login name, you'll see an I to the right of Log Off. If you click on that I, you'll see the information on the EFSM version. You should then look at the Provider Portal User Guide. It will have a version and date on the cover. You want to be sure that your version matches or is the latest version available. This is important because throughout the user guide, there will be instructions and screenshots of the processes. Newer versions of the guide will have updated screenshots and enhanced features that you won't see in outdated versions. The most current user guide at this time is version 4.2, but as OEL continues to update the system, revised user guides will be released. The most current user guide is always found on the 4C website. Once you have the user guide you'll be using, open the table of contents. Look for Completing the Provider Profile. That will take you to the page that starts the step-by-step instructions with screenshots. If you're not sure if you have the latest version of the user guide, you can always check the 4C website at www.4cflorida.org. Just under the header, you'll see a link to training materials for EFSM. You can also get to this location by looking for the picture of Early Learning Services, training, resources, and information for parents and providers. Once the training page opens, you'll see that it's divided into providers and parents, and further grouped into topics. Look for the Providers section. The newest user guide will always be available to you there. For providers, you'll also find sections on SR attendance, VPK attendance, video tutorials, guides, and FAQs, and a section for all communications sent to providers. Parents looking for information will find similar categories of materials to assist them. If those materials aren't enough and more assistance is needed, the provider portal has a Request Assistance button that you can select after you log in. This button will appear just under the child care facility name. Once selected, you get a pop-up box to enter the type of assistance you need or the specific question to be answered. It's important to note that this feature is not a chat answered in real time. Instead, your request goes to a work queue for the next available staff to work. Please allow time for reply, as this queue can be very busy. If while waiting you are able to get the help needed and no longer need assistance, there is an option in the same location to cancel your request. You may use this button as needed, and this may be especially helpful if phone lines are busy. The other advantage of the Request Assistance button is that this feature allows us to make some edits while assisting you. So if you don't know what to enter but have requested assistance, we can help you make that entry on your behalf. A quick note on keeping your provider profile secure. It's important that everyone using the provider portal have their own unique login that is never shared with others. You want to be cautious with who is given rights to enter or edit banking information, and be sure that rights are transitioned to someone else before deleting a key position, such as in the event of a director change. The user guide gives information on resetting or changing passwords and managing user rights. And now, you're ready to get started on the actual provider profile. Some helpful tips. If it's a new profile, it's best to allow 30 to 60 uninterrupted minutes on the computer to complete your update. For returning users updating an existing profile, allow 15 minutes. It's helpful to review your prior provider profile for any changes that may be needed and to ensure you have the updated information available to you. You may need to upload documents, so it's helpful to scan them and create the electronic copies in advance. And finally, be sure you select 2020-21 profile when you begin the update. If you select another year, you'll only have to repeat the process again for 2020-21. The instructions for completing the provider profile can be found on pages 28 to 50 in the user guide. To facilitate both the provider profile update and the contracting processes, it's important to update the provider profile only once and then make no changes until after the certified contract. Preferably, make no changes until after July 1, 2020. Each time you update your provider profile, the review and approval process starts over. Please allow at least 1 week for the time of a profile submission to see the approval. Many are approved in the same day, but remember, there are many providers completing this process, usually within the same short time frame before May 1. You will find the provider profile on the drop-down menu at the top. When it opens, take a few minutes to review your 2019-20 provider profile, noting any changes you would need to make for 2020-21. Then gather electronic copies of any new documents that will need to be uploaded, such as licensing, accreditation, and tuition and fees documents. There are tooltips throughout EFSM that can help you obtain more information about specific items. Use the back and next at the bottom of the screen to navigate through the profile. In step 1, you'll tell us if you want to allow referrals to families seeking child care, whether you want to contract for school readiness, VPK, and/or local funding, if you are a Gold Seal provider, and about your program's accreditation. On the Facility tab, you'll update contact information for owners and directors, along with addresses for mailing and payments. You'll have the ability to add new contacts as needed and designate which of those contacts is authorized contact representative for the business. The Services tab is your chance to tell parents about the programs and services offered, as this has information parents will be seeking in referrals. Start with the ages of children served within the scope of your DCF requirements, then carefully select the options that describe the full scope of your services. Be sure to include things such as before and after school care, summer programs, transportation, to and/or from which schools, meals and snacks served, what languages are spoken, if you offer music, dance, swim lessons, homework help, etc. The Curriculum tab collects information about the provider's curricula for the ages of the children served. You can make multiple selections from the list, and if the curricula you use is not on the list, select Other. Please note that if you are participating in the School Readiness Program, you must select an approved curriculum. The Fees and Discounts tab collects information about the fees the provider assesses the parents. You need to make an entry for each fee or enter 0 if that fee is not charged. Select the frequency of the fee and if it is charged per family or child. Enter any discounts offered and the type of discount. The Hours of Operation tab collects information on the type of schedule offered for care. Includes days of the week and hours on each day. Your hours must match or be less than allowed by your DCF license. You'll also have the options to list enhanced schedule options such as drop-in care, early or extended care, overnight or evening hours. These types of services are much needed by parents and will increase the chance of matching for parents' referral requests. The Staffing and Capacity tab collects information on how many children the facility will or can care for. For each care level, the provider should enter the highest number of teachers and children for all classrooms of that care level. This tab does not calculate staff-to-child ratios, but stores numbers for review in the approval process. You can omit the age groups you do not serve. For example, if you have 2 teachers with a group of 20 children, you should list 1 teacher in classroom with 10 children in classroom and a group size of 20. More examples can be found in the user guide, pages 40 to 45. The Private Pay Rates tab collects information on the rates you charge the community for each unit of care, such as full-time or part-time, and care level, age, of care offered by the provider. These entries must match the tuition documentation uploaded. Shaded cells do not permit entry. If care is not provided for a care level, age, no entry is needed. However, entry is needed for each unit of care. For example, if you offer full-time but not part-time care for preschool 4, the entry in the part-time care rate box should be the same rate as charged for full-time preschool 4 care. This indicates you do not offer part-time care for that age. Providers caring for children attending VPK must enter VPK wrap rates for preschool 3, 4, and 5. If caring for school-age children, please enter rates for full-time, part-time, before, after, and before-after school care. Summer camp rates apply only to children who have completed kindergarten, i.e. school age, and are not needed for infants through preschool 5. School readiness providers must answer a question about the family's responsibility to pay the differential between approved reimbursement rate paid by the coalition and the private pay rate that you charge community parents. If you are contracting for school readiness, you'll also want to review page 46 of the user guide to learn about the School Readiness Daily Rate Helper button. The closure calendar collects information on any days the provider's facility will be closed. Selected days change from white to blue. The coalition may define reimbursable holidays for school readiness programs, which will be shaded in gray. If the provider's selected date and the coalition date are the same, the date will be shaded in dark blue. You do not need to include Saturdays and Sundays on the closure calendar if services are not provided on those days. Actual reimbursable holidays will be selected during the contracting process if the provider enters into the school readiness contract with the coalition. The Documents tab allows upload of documents for review, and these documents must match the entries made on the earlier tabs. Based on the provider's answers in the profile, the Documents tabs will display the types of documents that may be uploaded to support a contract for school readiness and/or VPK services. Documents uploaded in this tab will also populate in the document library and will be utilized during the contracting process. After reviewing the information for each section, the user must click Next to continue. To submit the provider profile, the full name must exactly match the name entered on the Manage Users page. This is case sensitive. The user must check the checkbox to certify by electronic signature and click the Submit button. If successfully submitted, you will see a message: you have successfully completed and submitted your provider profile. You will also find an email with the same message sent by do not reply at oel.myflorida.com. Yellow warning symbols will appear on certain fields on the following tabs: General, Facility, Services, Curriculum, staffing and capacity, and documents. These may require that you resubmit your VPK app or amend a contract, so it's best to complete your profile before starting these processes and then hold on any changes until contracting is completed. It's also important to monitor the email associated with the account for any notices. Remember, the fastest and easiest way to obtain assistance on the provider profile is to select the Request Assistance button found in the provider profile header.